5 out of the 8 options in my last video all returned during game week 9. 5 out of 8, that's not a bad ratio at all, especially considering that they were all budget picks. We're keeping it real here at Heavy Metal FPL. My name is Mohammed. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to take you through an initial Game Week 9 review and first thoughts, and also potential transfers for the upcoming game week. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. First of all, I want to start by talking about captaincy. It's such a big relief now that all the big guns are just delivering. Like you've got Salah just scoring 2 goals, Son scoring 1 goal, Watkins with a goal and an assist. So it kind of opens the game up. It was getting a bit stale with Haaland being just the go-to captain choice for everyone. So this is really good for FPL in general, just having like 3 or 4 different options. Watkins is now really a viable choice. He's got a next fixture upcoming against Luton at home, which is a really good one. He's been delivering the goods so far. So that's just awesome for the game in general. For this week, I opted for Haaland as a captain. Now, he wasn't necessarily the worst choice, but he did bounce back from that rut that he was in, where he went for 3 weeks without scoring at all. And this one, yeah, he scored 1 goal, and it was a really good goal against Brighton. But Salah was probably the best option. Though I can't complain though, because Haaland still did get a goal. Salah scored 2 goals against Everton. He broke the Gandhi curse and he scored 2 goals. He was the best captain option this week. If you went with Watkins, then good on you. He's a worry for me right now because he's not in my team and he seems to be just completely on fire. Next thing I want to talk about, like one of my worry points with this team is just that Udogie got subbed off yesterday against Fulham. Annoyingly, if you had Romero in your team, or if you had Van de Ven, or if you had Pedro Porro, you would have been good and you would have gotten that clean sheet for Tottenham. But I had Udogie and he got subbed off in the 55th minute. Apparently it's just a niggle. It's not something that we should be completely worried about, though it is still annoying that we didn't get those points. Son and Madison delivered the goods. They did what you really want from them, just scoring a goal each against Fulham. Another pain point for me was Diaby. So Aston Villa got that really good result against West Ham 4-1, but he was nowhere to be seen. He didn't get an assist or a goal. He blanked during this game week, which was a bit frustrating. One other thing I'll mention, I mean, all the other guys here, like for example, like Ariola got 1 point, but I didn't really expect so much from him in this game week. It was a tough fixture against Aston Villa away. Diaby and Cash, both of them, I didn't expect much from them this game week, but it's still a bit frustrating to see that Aston Villa won 4-1 and they both didn't get any returns. One other thing I'll mention is the fact that I've got Lascelles over there. I think he's a good option for a lot of people who might be considering getting into the Newcastle defense. He's only 3.9 million and he seems to be a solid starter for them right now. He's only a worry when Botman comes back, but that only seemingly, like from the FPL app at least, is only going to be in November 11th. So, 3.9 Lascelles, very good pick. I know I might be including him in my team in the upcoming game week, maybe, or the ones after it. Neto continuing to deliver the goods. He got an assist against Bournemouth in their game, and Hwang Hee-chan also got an assist in that game. So he's continuing to be a really good FPL asset. He is basically reaching the points total, his highest points total ever in FPL, and it's only a quarter way of the season so far. He's looking like a very good pick at just less than 6 million. I think that covers it for my team because the rest have been delivering, or they're doing exactly what they're expected to do. So you've got your Alvarez over there, like performing very well, still looking like a very good FPL pick. And yeah, Son and Madison, I already mentioned, Salah, yeah, Cash, Udogie, a worry, and Trippier delivering 10 points, still really good to just give me those points from Newcastle that I wanted and still proving to be the best defensive pick for Newcastle. So what do I do for the upcoming game week for my team? You see, I've got some options over here. You might notice that 3 of them are Tottenham to Arsenal. And the reason for that is if you compare the fixtures for Arsenal and Tottenham, Arsenal's are actually way easier in the next 4 or 5. Arsenal have 1 tough fixture from the next 4 or 5, and that's away against Newcastle. That's not the next game week, but the one after it. They've got away Newcastle, very tough. Spurs don't necessarily have the hardest fixtures, but they have ones that could potentially be tricky, with the upcoming one being away against Crystal Palace. It's not necessarily the hardest fixture, but it could be tricky, and I see Arsenal at home to Sheffield United as a much better fixture than that. So Udogi, there's a problem with him, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, that he got subbed off at 55 minutes. I could get rid of that problem completely by just getting rid of Udogi and getting Gabriel instead, who seems to be stapled on in that Arsenal defense. Or I could get rid of that problem in an easier way by just benching Udogi for the next match if I'm worried about him, or if anyone else is worried about him for this matter. I could bench him and put Lascelles in, because Lascelles seems to be stapled on in that Newcastle defense. He's got away against Wolves, not necessarily an easy fixture, but at least I would guarantee that he plays 90 minutes, and if he gets a clean sheet, then I would get a hold of those points rather than having to try my luck with Udogi, who might get benched again, who knows, or just, a roll of the dice with having him on and getting the returns from him. Another option is Madison to Martinelli. So Martinelli is a bit overlooked. He was injured for a while, but now he's back for Arsenal. He's less expensive than Odegaard, who plays behind him on the field. 7.7 million. I could switch from Madison to Martinelli. Diaby to Mitoma is another option. So Diaby is frustrating for me, just the fact that he didn't get any returns against West Ham. But I have, obviously this one is just a thought. It's not something that I'm leaning towards so far, but it's just a thought, because the reason for why I'm not with it so much is because Aston Villa have Luton at home next. That's not a fixture you want to go away from. If anything, you keep your Aston Villa assets for this game week. That's one thing. I don't want to avoid that. And also for Brighton, they're looking really good. Their fixtures upcoming are really, really good, right? So you might want to target those Brighton assets. But I have a slight worry about them, because Brighton have a lot of European fixtures, and those are intermingling with their Premier League fixtures, and that's something that they've never faced before. Brighton have never faced this before, where they have European fixtures that they have to contend with, and at the same time they're also getting injuries. They recently got March injured, and their coach De Zerbi actually, in the press conference after the last match, expressed a concern over all his players getting injured. They have Stupinian, they have Lamptey also injured, and now they have March, and they have this heavy schedule upcoming, so you never know how their form might look like. Maybe they're not the best FPL assets as we might consider them to be, because they're all worn down to the ground because of this heavy fixture list that's for all the teams, but especially for Brighton, who don't have so much experience with it so far. So leading away from this transfer, fourth one is Son to Saka. So one premium asset to another. It does look like a sideways move the more you consider it, but Son is in red hot form, and Saka also looking really good, easier Arsenal fixtures and everything. But I think it's a very sideways move. It's something I might consider, but I'm not leaning very heavy towards it. On the other hand, though, here is an option I could go for. It's very exciting. I mean, from the others, let me just look back at the others for a second. From these ones, I think the most appealing to me is Udogi to Gabriel. That just seems like the most logical one, because over here I've got Udogi, who's who's a bit of a worry, and Arsenal's fixtures are easier, and I've got two transfers. So if I do one transfer, it could be a safe one, where Udogi to Gabriel, and then I don't have to worry about being with the fixture swing for Arsenal. I could just get rid of Udogi from now, and then I already have one Arsenal player in the bank for their upcoming run of very, very good fixtures. I don't have to worry about that soon in the future. A more exciting option is this double transfer, right? If I wanted to get Watkins into my team, this is a potential route for getting him in. I could sub off Son. I could take off Son and get someone like Cole Palmer, who's just 5 million. He just rose up in price as of today. He was 4.9 million. Now he's 5 million, right? But Cole Palmer won't go into my starting 11. He would go onto my bench, because Chelsea's fixtures right now are very, very hard. But I would have him on my bench, and if he potentially keeps rising and he keeps performing like how he is, then maybe when Chelsea's fixtures become easier down the line, I could have him. I could already have him on my team, and he could start some matches. Who knows, right? So that's one thing. I wouldn't be happy about getting rid of Son, but for like the greater good of my team, it might look like a viable option. The other transfer would be Archer, who's kind of like just bench fodder on my team right now, being upgraded to Watkins. So Watkins obviously is a really, really good pick for this week. He's looking like captain material. He scored a really good goal in the last match. He also got an assist, and he's got Luton at home next. You can't ask for a better fixture than that for a player who's in form. Captaincy option, as I mentioned, I'm heavily considering this as an exciting pick for game week 10. I'll have to see how it goes. I'll have to ponder it for a bit. Maybe wait until the European fixtures are done to see how I proceed with this. But this is looking like a good option. It gets Watkins into my team. If anything, at worst, this could be a defensive pick. A lot of players have Watkins in their team. A lot of players, a lot of FPL managers are going to be captaining Watkins. And so, me being with Sun, I might lose out on the Sun points, but I think there's an even bigger risk with me losing out on the Watkins points against Luton at home, which is just an incredible fixture, as I mentioned earlier. Um, so one like those like a lot of positives to this, right? I get Watkins on my team. I get Cole Palmer as a sub down the line who could potentially be used in my starting lineup. Another thing is that if I want to get more Arsenal players in my team, or Mitoma, for example, Arsenal and Brighton have the best fixtures, I think, upcoming, or they're teams that you might want to jump on because of their upcoming run of fixtures. So I could still potentially go with some of these down the line, like if I want to do Madison to Martinelli in a later game week, or I want to do Diaby to Mitoma in a later game week, I can still do those. For now, I'm holding on to this. These are the thoughts that I have in my head, but I'm gonna wait until later press conferences until I see if I can have more data on whether Udogi is gonna start, or is this a common thing with him being subbed off. And hopefully no injuries to any players, or I'm gonna have to see how the price rises are going, see the press conferences, see how the European games go later in the week, and I will see what happens with that. That wraps it up for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I try to keep it as short as possible. If you want to see my budget midfield picks, make sure to click on the link here. If you like what I do, then make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be putting up some more videos soon, but until then, I'm gonna bounce, and I will see you all later.